Good evening, Vacaville. The time is now 6 p.m. I'd like to call to order the Parks and Recreation Commission meeting for the City of Vacaville, May the 5th, 2021. We appreciate everyone who is participating in tonight's Parks and Recreation teleconference meeting. This meeting will be conducted pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20. Please bear with us as we attempt to use remote tools. Instructions to call into the meeting or participate from a computer are provided on the agenda on the city's website at www.cityofvacaville.com. Callers who wish to comment can press *9 to get into the speaking queue. Computer users can click the raise hand button within the Zoom controls to request to speak. Good evening, Madam Secretary. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baruman.
Present.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Here.
Commissioner Leonard.
Here.
Commissioner Thompson. Commissioner Vandertulen.
Present.
Vice Chair Vasquez.
Here.
And Chair McMahon.
Present. Thank you very much. Commissioner Gutierrez, would you do the honors of leading in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening, ma'am?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Agenda item number 3, approval of the agenda. Madam Secretary, are there any corrections or changes to this evening's agenda, ma'am?
I have not received a request for a change.
Perfect. I will accept a motion at this time to accept the agenda as published.
Commissioner Baroma here to move to accept the agenda for today.
And a second, please.
This is Commissioner Vandertulen. I second the motion.
Bruman and Vandertulen, and roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baruman.
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Yes.
Commissioner Vandertulen.
Aye.
Chair Vasquez. Vice Chair Vasquez.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks, sorry. And Chair McMahon.
Aye. Very good. We are now at number 4, approval of the minutes for the meeting of April the 7th of 2021. Any corrections or changes to the minutes of that meeting?
I have received none, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Madam Secretary. I will now accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, that was Gutierrez, and a second, please.
Commissioner Baroman.
Okay, Gutierrez and Baruman, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baruman.
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard.
Aye.
Commissioner Vandertulen.
Yes.
Vice Chair Vasquez.
Yes.
And Chair McMahon.
Aye. Item number 5, communications. Are there any communications this evening, Madam Secretary?
The department has received none, Chair.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We are moving right along to item number 6, which is presentations. Seeing none, we are now at item number 7, business from the floor. This is the time to address the commission with issues that are not on the agenda that are within the commission's subject matters jurisdiction. Maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. Madam Secretary, is there anyone from the public this evening?
We have none, Chair.
We will close public comment. Item number 8, business. We have 2 items under business this evening. At this time, I would like to ask Acting Director Reggie Hubbard to introduce 8A, please.
Thank you, Commission Chair, and good evening, Commissioners. We have the Rocky Hill Trail Public Art presentation tonight, and we have our Recreation Manager, Melody Ocampo, will be presenting this item. Thank you.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. It is my pleasure to present to you tonight the Rocky Hill Trail Public Art Project. As you can see from the map on this first introductory slide, the location of the proposed artwork is at the Rocky Hill Trail entrance, located on Markham Avenue, just south of Rocky Hill Road. Next slide. So to give you a little background on what has been done so far in terms of community outreach and simply the process getting to where we are now. In May of 2019, the city of Vacaville was awarded a $10,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts, the Challenge America program. So the city was required to match the funding from this grant, providing a total of $20,000 for the project. This covers the artist fee, materials, and installation, as well as the signage and site prep. The first community engagement opportunity was on September 25th in 2019, when staff and committee members hosted a booth at the popular Night Out on Rocky Hill Trail event prior to publication of the request for proposals. And sorry, the committee members is the Arts Advisory Committee. So as you read in your packet tonight, this project the Arts Advisory Committee has been involved with this project since back in 2019 when they went out and did kind of the first initial community engagement. There were 140 folks who participated in that survey at that night out at Rocky Hill Trail. And what you see pictured is kind of the result. We took that information, put that into a request for proposals. There were 3 submissions received, 2 of which were from the same artist, with the only difference between those 2 conceptual designs being shoes on the wild pig. You see those pictured here, along with the winning proposal and original conceptual plan, which was submitted by artist Leslie Malera. And she was chosen not only for this conceptual design, but based on her extensive qualifications. She is a Vacaville resident who has owned and operated a mural and decorative design business for over 20 years. She's taught at Buckingham Charter School and at an after-school program at Markham Elementary. She also worked on the Fiesta Days mural from back in 1995-96, which depicted some of the historical Vacaville elements, and that is on the building at the corner of Cernan and Merchant Streets. So, and that project included several local middle and high school art students. Leslie would love to include at least 4 high school art students, if not more, from the Markham residential area. She wants them to really be hands-on in the experience and in the process of creating and painting the proposed community work of art. So looking again for those high school age students residing in the area, they would be encouraged to apply for a residency to assist in the rendering and painting of the art project. Next slide. So there was a bit of a break, as you may have noticed, between the project award and the next community engagement opportunity. The intent was to host a community meeting in person, but as we all know, COVID did not allow that. Staff made the decision to push forward with the project and ended up hosting 2 virtual community meetings in December of 2020 and February of this year. During the community meetings, members of the public suggested some changes to the original artwork, asking for art in the Impressionist style with elements such as wings, wings specifically that could be used for photo ops, Aztec and Mayan images to be incorporated, children reading, the sun, poppies, animals, culture and diversity, people with varying skin tones using the trail, and high contrast colors. And so Leslie went back to the drawing board and she redid the design. That landscape just kind of got thrown out the window, and she started from scratch. And so over the course of the 2 community meetings and following a request for additional changes made by the Arts Advisory Committee, Leslie ended up creating 8 additional works of art for the community and committee consideration. So these works of art are going to be before you this evening. Each of the art pieces were shared throughout the community engagement process, and all the revised revisions were included in a recent online survey taken by 46 people. And the results of those survey were included in the staff report as attachment 2, but they were also, they're reflected in the designs that you see presented. So the 3 design options that went to the Arts Advisory Committee and that are included in tonight's presentation and were attachment 3 of the staff report, they really follow along with the results of that survey. Next slide. So here's design option 1. This again reflects all the top choices from that recent survey. And I'll just go ahead and use this as an example to kind of explain how the artwork would be laid out. So the budget allows for 4 panels, metal panels, that'll be 4 feet by 8 feet in size. The panels can be double-sided. So in this design option, you would take 2 of the top 4 panels and you would throw the wings on the backside of 2 of those. And then in this example, we've left the backside of the other 2 panels open for potentially some inspirational quotes or some cultural graphics designed by some of the student artists to kind of give it more of that home touch from that community. The panels will be about 4 inches to 6 feet off the ground, and the panels can be placed, in this case, they are vertical. They can also be placed horizontally, and you see that in a design option coming up. The wings can only be used by design on vertical panels. And then we can include 1 to 2 interactive elements. That's those pillars that you see on the left side of the screen here. The other option that was presented were some chin-up bars. Next slide. This is option 2. In this case, the 4 panels, you see there's a slight difference there. These are the items that kind of ranked second. The different panel artwork that includes the silhouettes of people in them, those tied for second place in the survey. So that's why they, are a little bit contradictory maybe in style, but I wanted to just include them. When we presented this to the Arts Advisory Committee, they were given the option to kind of play with the configuration. At this point, we are going to present you at the end of this with their recommendation, but as you see here, all the panels in this example are upright, and so they would be back to back, the 4 that are the one that create the one image, and then the wings on the back of 2, and then the other 2 on the back of the other 2 upright panels. And then in this case, we've put the chin-up bars with this option. Next slide. Option 3, this is where you see that horizontal configuration come into play. We would use inspirational quotes and cultural graphics again on the back of the horizontal panels that are up at the top there with the different folks walking along the trail. And then the wings would be back to back. And these are the least favored options by the survey. The wings, there were only 3 options for wings, and so they reflect both the second and third choice. And then there were obviously only 2 panels for interactive, the chin-up bars or the pillars, and the chin-up bars just simply came in second. So that's why you see those on a couple options. Next slide. So again, the Arts Advisory Committee did recommend design option 1. That was obviously what is preferred by the community, based on the community engagement that we've done and what you see here. This is really the time, I guess, next slide, because questions and comments, and we'll go back to all these images at request. Next slide, Tracy. Sorry, I said that really quickly. Getting lost in my notes a little bit. Sorry, guys. Feel free to, I've done this presentation a few times. I should probably be better at it, but I was giving you the kind of the cliff notes to not create too much confusion. So please ask questions.
Melody, thank you so much. The presentation was perfect. Thank you. So I'll kind of remind the commission tonight that we are voting on one of the 3 designs, and this will eventually go to council for the council to approve this. So at this point, I will open it up to the commission for comments or questions.
Okay, this is Commissioner Vandertool, and I guess I'll start. So Melody, thank you very much for the presentation. You mentioned the panels are 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall, and they're metal.
That is correct.
And how are they anchored to the ground? Is there like a wall or steel stanchions that they're standing on? I'm just kind of curious. As these are floating panels, how are they then connected to the ground?
They would be anchored, and luckily we have our artist on the line, Leslie Malera. Leslie, would you be willing to help give us a little bit more detail on that? I know it's a bit of a work in progress as we've kind of, the design has evolved.
Okay.
Go ahead, Leslie.
Yeah, it's going to have a cement foundation.
Okay, so there will be like steel posts that come out of this concrete foundation then?
Yes, they're square steel posts that are going to be 2 feet long. Actually, 2 feet are going to be above the ground, plus the 8 feet length of the panels. And then there's going to be a length of it that's going to be below the ground in the cement.
Right. So the panels then actually will be 10 feet in the air then? 8 feet plus the 2 feet?
Yes.
Okay, curious. And then what's the gap? Final question, what's the gap between the panels, please?
There's going to be no gap between the panels.
Oh, so the panels are all just like abutted against each other? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right, those are my questions. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner Leonard?
Hi, thank you, Chair. Quick question, kind of unrelated to the design options. The feral pig that was shown first, is that art that was already approved and happening? How does the feral pig fit into the art placement? I got a little lost on that part.
No, my apologies. That was just the other submission to the request for proposals. So that was eliminated by the Arts Advisory Subcommittee for this project.
Okay. And I'm wondering, and I apologize if I missed it, does the Arts Advisory Committee have a preference of these 1, 2, or 3 options?
Yes, Tracy, if you could go back one slide. The Arts Advisory Committee has been involved in this, and they've been worked.
Oh, recommended by the Arts Advisory.
They
right there on your slide.
No, it's all good. I went through it a bit quickly. So no, that's a great question. So this is their recommendation, and it is based in the community feedback.
Great. Thank you for the clarification.
Of course.
Thank you, ma'am. Vice Chair Vasquez?
Hi, good evening. This is Vice Chair Vasquez. Everyone can hear me okay? Sorry.
Yes, ma'am, we hear you.
Okay, cool. So I just wanted to thank Melody for all her work and time and energy that she put into this. And thank the artist, Leslie Maleta, for being involved in this project. I myself personally feel lucky to have attended many of the community meetings and just be involved and engaged in this project as best as possible outside of the commission, and also as a commissioner that sits on the Arts Advisory Committee. Unfortunately, I was late to the last Arts Advisory Committee meeting because I had a conflict, but I was able to hear the end of the conversation and kind of their wrap up and their recommendation for us being these images. And I think it presents and provides a good compromise between the artists and the community. Having attended most of the community meetings, I know that there was some challenges and conflicts that were faced along the way, which I think are good and healthy. I'm not saying them in a bad way. But I think what it does do, and I think that the commission and also I think the department and the city as a whole can reflect on better ways and opportunities for engagement with the community that really have to start at the inception of the project. And not that I'm saying that that didn't happen at the inception of this project, but I think that in particular with this community, thinking outside of the box in terms of engagement and how we can do outreach within the districts now with our council members and partner with the school district. Because I think, like I said, I do feel like there was conflict and challenges in how this project evolved. But I think that what it also demonstrates for us as both Arts Advisory Committee and Parks and Rec Commission is that in particular, we really need to see community and self represented in public art, especially when it is public art that is within a neighborhood or within that specific district. I believe that public art can be transformative for a community and can really bring about empowerment and engagement for civic participation. And so I think that as we do move forward, and even, we just visited the Parks Master Plan, that we think critically about how we engage with the community, but also public art and how it can be transformative for that specific community when they see themselves represented in the art. So that's just kind of my last closing thoughts. Like I said, I am really happy with Design One and how there was compromise between the community and the artists. So just wanted to thank everyone involved. It's been a long project. And, you know, again, I'm happy to see that as the city of Vacaville, we were awarded this money and that, you know, we're investing money directly into the community. So thank you.
Vice Chair, thank you so much for that. And thank you very much for being an active participant in this, and it's much appreciated. Commissioner Bruman. Commissioner Bruman, you may need to unmute, sir.
Yep, I thought I clicked it. Sorry about that.
No worries, we got you now.
Melody, nice job. And then especially to the artist, Leslie, fantastic. Looks like I'm agreeing with the arts committee that they picked the right one for as far as display. I think it's a good step forward for our community working together with the city and all the artists out there. I think we're headed in the right direction, and great job. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Any further, Commissioner Gutierrez?
Hi, I just had a quick question. I apologize if this has already been covered. Once we receive council approval to move forward on this, what does the timeline look like as far as when the residents can expect to see this?
Great question. So this project is actually slated to go and to be reviewed by some of our planning department staff, and we're going to work with some folks on that team to make sure that the execution and the placement can all happen appropriately. And then we will be taking it to the city council probably closer towards the end of summer, hopefully a little sooner. And then we will be shooting for a installation by the end of December of this calendar year. That is our goal. But, you know, obviously they're often with projects, there are delays. Well, you know, I don't want to put that out in the universe, but that's what we're shooting for.
Completely understand. Thank you. And I echo everyone else as far as just thanking you for your time, and Leslie as well. I've attended several of these meetings even before joining the Parks and Rec Commission, and it's exciting to see that the community is going to get what they asked for. So it's exciting. Hopefully, you know, there'll be no hiccups, but I totally understand. But it looks like before the year is out, they may be able to enjoy this.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Any further commissioner comments or questions for Melody or the artist? Okay, I see no further commissioner hands. I would like to also say thank you to Melody and the artist as well, Leslie. You know, it's art in our community is huge, and this is going to be huge for this part of our town. I have a couple questions and I guess more so comments. So on the back of the panels, it says that there's perhaps inspirational quotes. You know, we know this area and we know the names Edwin Markham and Willis Jepson. What about some of the less familiar names that people may not instantly recognize, like Juan Manuel Cabeza Vaca, Juan Felipe Peña, or William McDonald, some of the early pioneers of land in Vacaville? You know, it engages people. It throws out other names there that are important in Vacaville history. So I would like for that to be considered as on the back of one of those panels, perhaps, as some of the inspirational quotes. That also, it's exciting to see that we're going to include the youth and some of the students and schools in the art. But what I'd like to perhaps see with that is somehow if we could change that art every 6 months or every year. I don't know how we would do that if we could put tile panels on there, but what that does is it keeps this community engaged and it keeps our youth engaged. So, you know, every year we could have some sort of contest, for lack of better words, you know, and put some sort of theme on there, and you know, students can make the art. Those will be displayed on the back of those panels. So again, just a thought there, and we can discuss that further. And then also the wings, I really like that. That seems to be a positive thing now, and you see a lot of people standing in front of wings like this. What I don't see on those wings is the name Vacaville. You know, people are going to stand in front of that. They're going to post it on their social media accounts, and people are going to say, "Oh, where is that?" You know, so maybe, and again, I'll leave this up to the artist. She has beautifully designed this and put this out there, but perhaps just in black lettering, Vacaville, CA, you know, just a thought there as well. And then also, can we talk about the pillars and where those are in relation to the art or the panels?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think our next steps will probably be to, in terms of, I was making notes of the historical names, the changing out the art on the backboard. I just wanted to let the commissioners know that we are looking into other art projects for this trail. And I know that that is something that there's an interest to get some local artists involved. So there might be future opportunities as well. That's also part of one of the elements of one of the covered picnic areas for Trower Park, which is nearby, as you know. So I think there will be definitely some opportunities for art to be interchanged and to really engage some of those local artists. And then I'll let Leslie answer the question about the pillars. I know that they will be incorporated near kind of assisting with the support of the structure, but I'll let her get into that detail.
Okay, I have an idea about the pillars being something, since they're cement, they can be painted over so that what he was just suggesting, that the students or the community be able to change things up every so often. So maybe a new group of students can paint over the pillars and then paint them in a new design. Is that, I mean, that's a workable option to change them up in the future. If you ever see like a giant rock somewhere and the community often changes the rock for different time periods and different seasons. These pillars are cement and they're painted. They could be changed in the same way. It's just a suggestion.
Absolutely, thank you for that. What I was thinking more so is, you know, what is the idea of, I know Melanie, you had mentioned that there are some other ideas for art in Trower Park, but the cultural graphics designed by student artists. So are we suggesting that that's going to be on back of one of the panels? Is that correct?
Yes, and we are looking for this to be a more permanent installation, just because there's going to be a lot of funding going into also the protection of it and the UV coating and just some, you know, just the amount of time also that's going to go into this. And I absolutely love the idea of having multiple opportunities for multiple artists. So I was just making sure that the commission knows that we're trying to bring those opportunities to the community as well, but that this project might not be the right fit to incorporate them.
Okay, very good. And I appreciate that very much. Thank you. And then also, what about the idea, and I'll put this back to Leslie, the artist, of identifying Vacaville in the wings picture?
I love that idea. It is a great idea. And I think putting across the top of it in black lettering, black bold lettering, we could put Rocky Hill Trail, Vacaville, Rocky Hill Road Trail on the left side, and then Vacaville on the right side. I think that would be great. I could incorporate that into the design. And the cultural graphics designed by student artists, those are actually going to be on the pillars. So it's not going to be on the back of the panels. It's going to be the pillars incorporated with the cultural graphics designed by the students.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. And Commissioner Leonard.
Thank you, Chair. Just mirroring your sentiments about quotes from lesser known people who were founded Vacaville, and maybe we should consider going even further back and incorporating Indigenous people who were on the land for thousands of years before pioneers or anyone else got here. might be a good idea and reflective in the cultural aspects of that project to consider. I think it's amazing that the artist has been responsive to community input. The advisory committee has been responsive, and I like that design option 1 is reflective of the online survey from the community. And when we ask for their input and they engage in that process with us in meetings or online surveys, I think it's really important for us as a commission to be responsive to their input. And so I'm in big favor of design option 1. I don't know if you're ready for a motion or if there's more conversation still to be had, but I think it's very important for us as commissions to, and I think we're all in agreement to be responsive to the public input that went into this project, since it is their project.
Absolutely, ma'am. Thank you. We'll come back to the motion here. I want to, are there any further commissioner comments at this time? Okay, I see no further commissioner comments. I would like to go ahead and open it to the public. Madam Secretary, are there anyone from the public on the line that would like to comment on this item 8A this evening?
I see no hands, Chair.
Thank you very much. We will close public comment. And now, at this point, now would be an appropriate time for a motion, Commissioner Leonard.
Thank you. Sorry, Chair, I jumped the gun a little bit on that.
That's quite all right.
I move that we recommend design option 1 to City Council for approval.
I'll second that, Vice Chair Vasquez.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion and a second. We have Leonard and Vasquez. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Baruman,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard,
Aye.
Commissioner Vandertulen,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vasquez,
Yes.
Chair McMahon.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The motion passes. And again, thank you so much, Melody, and to our artist, Leslie. Thank you so much. It's exciting, and I know we all look forward to seeing it out there on the Rocky Hill Trail. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, commissioners.
Very good. So we are now at item 8B. Acting Director Walker, would you like to introduce 8B, please?
Yes, thank you, Commission Chair. I would like to do that. Last commission meeting, we walked the commission through our budget process. And this meeting, we're going to walk you through the actual, our proposal for the 2021 budget. Although this budget has not been approved by council, it's just a draft proposed budget. But we wanted to bring it to you guys just for discussion. We'll be taking no action, but for discussion. So, but the budget will be approved in June by the City Council. So with that said, I'll turn it over to our management analyst, Coral Whitsey, to walk us through this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Director Hubbard. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. This proposed budget being presented this evening was developed using a cautious and strategic approach with anticipation of reopening and loosening of the current COVID-19 health guidelines restrictions. This budget has also been aligned with and supports the city's strategic plan goal number 4 of maintaining effective and efficient services. It's important to note that this is not a final budget and adjustments can occur between now and the council approval of the final budget. Next slide, please. We currently have 19 full-time positions, and depending on the season, we may have anywhere between 100 to 250 non-full-time staff. This organizational chart does not include proposed positions for a full-time park planner or the an office assistant and therapeutic recreation program coordinator conversions from non-full-time to full-time positions. Next slide, please. The total department budget is $8,245,396. This slide shows the percentage split of the budget by the major expense categories. Full-time salaries and and benefits and non-full-time salaries account for about approximately 62% of the overall budget. Services and supplies categories include all of our contract instructors, sports officials, as well as any and all supplies for programs like summer camps, after-school programs, and preschool. Indirect costs are not directly related to the program and include expenses such as natural gas, electricity, telephone, bank fees, and general liability insurance. Next slide, please. The administration budget supports a variety of activities that are not directly related to the program, facility, or project. Some of these activities are listed here on this slide. Some of the items include all of the part-time registration staff and at the front counters, a portion of part planner, expenses related to production, printing, and mailing of events guide, recreation management, registration software system, and department-wide technology costs associated with future computer replacement plan. Typically, the department would process upwards of 30,000 registrations in our programs. However, due to the impacts of COVID-19 during the last few months of fiscal year 2020, our total registrations were down to 16,825. And facility reservations totaled 1,269. We are hoping to recover during the 21-22 fiscal year. If you tuned into last night's council meeting, you may have heard our proposal for launching a $100,000 scholarship pilot program with Measure M funds to provide equal access into our programs. Next slide, please. The programs listed on this slide are paid to play and are designed to cover all of their costs. We have great staff that stay on top of the trends and really listen to our customers and the community to find out what types of programs they enjoy and new programs they would like to have available to them. We're hoping that this year we'll be able to bring back many of the programs that were unavailable this past year due to COVID-19. Next slide, please. The department longstanding goal, this is the facility's proposed budget. The department's longstanding goal continues to be to subsidize facilities at no more than 50%. The department will be increasing marketing efforts of the facilities once indoor gatherings and events are allowed. The expansion of programs and other city department uses such as testing, workshops, trainings, assessment centers, and interviews has led to less time being available for facility rentals. Three Oaks had a total of 3,378 program uses booked through the end of the current fiscal year, and through fiscal year 1920, and McBride had 2,365. This is considering that the last 3 months of the year were severely impacted due to COVID-related closures. The Georgie Duke Sports Center hours of operations are almost exclusively used for programs. Therefore, this limits the opportunity to generate revenue at the center. The Graham Aquatic Center subsidy is 87% due to the high cost of running this facility. Next slide, please. These community well-being programs are not designed to cover their operational cost and receive subsidy or support from the general fund. Special event programs will be receiving a larger subsidy this fiscal year due to the council approval of no fee charge for the Creek Walk concerts. The therapeutic recreation staff will continue to conduct community outreach and foster the current relationships that have been built through this program. We are hoping to be able to expand the program offerings with the approval of the proposed full-time coordinator position. Next slide, please. The fiscal 2021 budget includes reductions for cost savings in the amount of approximately $758,000 and a decrease in revenue estimate of approximately $1.2 million due to COVID-19. The proposed budget reflects an increase in anticipation of a reopening and offering activities that were canceled due to the pandemic, and the opportunity to offer some new activities for the community. Next slide, please. This slide contains the program's individual proposed budgets and revenue for the upcoming fiscal year. The budget includes sources for activities such as adult softball and basketball, make art classes, ballet and music, swim lessons, Top Chef, youth flag football, baseball, softball, t-ball, and volleyball, summer camps and TGIF before and after school programs, preschool, and beginner to intermediate and advanced gymnastics classes. Some new activities that will be offered are in adult sports, disc golf and adult soccer, in cultural arts, ballet folklorico and tinkling. Aquatics will be offering water art. Special interest will be offering Vacaville's Mission Impossible, which will be community-wide scavenger hunt that includes participation at local parks and restaurants and businesses. Youth sports will be offering esports, baseball clinics, and skateboarding. And youth services with kids coding. These are just some of the new classes that will be offered. There are many more new and exciting classes that you will learn about when coordinators make their individual presentations. Next slide, please. This chart shows the facility individual budgets and projected revenue for the upcoming fiscal year. Next slide, please. We are hoping for changes in health guidelines for indoor gatherings that will allow our seniors to return to the activities held at McBride Senior Center. The special events program will be hosting a 4th of July event at the Creek Walk and the Creek Walk concert series. These events will be free of charge this year and reflected in the decrease in the estimated revenue for the upcoming fiscal year. The Teens program will be offering activities such as 6th grade events, leaders in training, and new safe at-home classes. Therapeutic Recreation is planning to offer activities such as monthly bowling, dances, and ice skating. Next slide, please. Although grants are not guaranteed source of funds, we typically will apply and continue to research for new grant opportunities throughout the year. We also apply and seek various local sponsorships. The list of grants shown on this slide are examples of some grants that we have applied or we apply for and will impact the department's operation budget or projects. The Kaiser Grant assists with scholarships for seniors and therapeutic recreation participants to attend our programs. We will be applying for the Shattered Venue Grant for VPAT. This grant has a total of $2 billion available for lost revenues, and the city would be considered as the third priority and would be eligible to apply later this month. The Baseball Tomorrow, Prop 68, and per capita grants that are slotted specifically for projects. The city submitted an application for Prop 68 grants to fund the Trower Park project. Initially, our department intended to submit an application for both Trower Park and Sierra Vista. However, after conversations with our grant consultant, review of the grant criteria, it was determined that Sierra Vista project would not receive points necessary to make it competitive for this grant. We will continue to research and seek other sources of funding for Sierra Vista. Per capita grant funds in the amount of $170,000 is available for projects this year. A match is required if the project is not in a severely disadvantaged location. The fiscal year 2021-22 proposed CIP project budget will be presented during next month's commission meeting. Next slide, please. That concludes my presentation. Any questions?
Socorro, thank you so much. At this time, we'll open it for commissioner comments or questions for Socorro. Vice Chair Vasquez.
Hi, Socorro. Thank you so much for this presentation. I was thinking about last year, and where everybody was in terms of budget proposals and how uniquely aligned COVID was with budget season. And you all presented last year, I think back in July or August, the budget proposal that was approved by council after the fact. And last year, the directors were all asked to take a 5% reduction in training and travel and a 10% reduction in part-time staff. Were there any directives from city council or the city manager in preparing the budget proposals for this upcoming fiscal year?
Not this year. We didn't get direction for any reductions. We are anticipating the reopening of our programs, so we didn't include any reductions for this proposed budget. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. So I guess then the measures that they took last budget season assisted in the impacts with COVID, I guess, I'm assuming?
That's correct. It was cost-saving measures that were put in place due to COVID.
Mm-hmm. And then my other question was, you briefly mentioned at the beginning a full-time park planner and office assistant. Are those figures for transitioning those to full-time staff accounted for in the, I guess, salaries and benefits section?
Not at this time. This was a last minute proposal. So those salaries are not part of the budget just yet.
But they will be when presented to council?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I think that's all I have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vasquez. Any other commissioners have questions or comments for Socorro? Socorro, I see no other commissioner comments or questions. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up for public comment. Madam Secretary, anyone on the line from the public?
I see no hands, Chair.
Very good. We will close public comment. Socorro, thank you so much, ma'am. Okay, we are now at agenda item number 9, committee reports. And we are at Arts Advisory Committee, Vice Chair Vasquez.
Hi, everyone. Vice Chair Vasquez. I unfortunately was unable to attend the full April 14th Arts Advisory Committee because I did have a conflict. And so I was, as I mentioned, able to sign on to the Zoom meeting super late in the meeting. So I did communicate with Melody on this item and would ask to defer to her in presenting kind of like a summary of the Arts Advisory Committee meeting from April 14th.
Yes, my pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Of course. So it was a pretty active meeting, so bear with me as I go through some of these updates. We did have some communication that was received. The Arts Advisory Committee members received an invitation to 3 different art events, all benefiting victims of the LNU fires. There was a folk music fine art recovery benefit and an event titled From Ashes to Springtime. So some fun opportunities there. We also had a presentation from Park Planner Hugh Hesterman inquiring about the remaining scrap metal that is on site at the Pena Adobe. It's old farm equipment that unfortunately is dilapidated, and he simply wanted some direction from the Arts Advisory Committee members on whether or not they felt that it was worth saving that metal to maybe be repurposed into some artwork. And they did say yes to please save that. And that's really where we're at with it. Options are to be explored. We also had a presentation from Senior Planner Tyra Hayes. She spoke about the downtown specific plan, specifically on the public art component. I did a presentation on the Rocky Hill Trail Public Art Project. I know you're familiar with that, so I won't go into it. And then we had just an update on the Pinball Sculpture, which is located on the Monte Vista side of Andrews Park. There was some damage to that sculpture. Someone had appeared to have taken a bat to it. There's 3 spheres that are on that, and so Public Works Maintenance did some repairs to it, with the Arts Advisory Committee approving some maintenance funds to be used to actually replace those spheres, and approving Public Works Maintenance to actually do the repairs in lieu of, unfortunately, not being able to get in touch with the original artist. And then the meeting was adjourned until Wednesday, July 14th. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Item 10, reports of Park Planner Hugh Hesterman.
Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. I have a few things to report on this evening. And Tracy, if you would go to the next slide, please. As I reported at the last month's meeting, we were planning at that time to make a council presentation of our draft Parks and Recreation Master Plan to the City Council on April 27th. That did take place. We received a lot of good comments from the City Council themselves, and also a few comments from the public. Largely the comments made were not anything that would change the draft master plan. So we are hoping to present that draft for final consideration of approval by the council on the May 25th regular meeting of the City Council. Next slide, please. As I like to do, a quick report on some of the construction projects that are going on that impact parks. This is the Farmstead subdivision under construction, taken this afternoon. As you can see, their homes are going up there very quickly, and I imagine we'll have residents taking up homes very soon. The next slide, please. This is a shot today of the Dreamers Park in that subdivision. This was a very interesting situation here where we had originally negotiated with the developer who originally subdivided this area to have the park constructed at about the 50% point when we would expect about 50% of residents would be occupying. But in this case, Taylor Morrison, who's the new owner, the new developer for Farmstead, they were so anxious to get the park built, which is just, as a park planner, I'm just delighted to see that. They charged ahead and were actually constructing the park before we even had a signed construction agreement. So that agreement has been signed, and as you can see, the park is nearing the end of its construction. There's just a little bit more work to do in the center there with some native grasses. And we've also renegotiated. I know the commission had asked about this, perhaps a year ago, about the fact that this park does not contain a formal playground, which is very unusual for neighborhood parks. And that was not included because of the high cost of maintenance and to a lesser degree the size. But Taylor Morrison has requested to add a very simple little natural style play area in this, and I think we've gotten to the point where we can fit that into the budget. So we see that happening it'd be just to the left, which is east of that picnic shelter there. Next slide, please. A couple more slides of the park. One more, please. Yeah, and the next slide, please. So this slide shows the trail system that is in Lagoon Valley, mostly in the Eastern Hills open space, but also some of the other open spaces. I apologize for the quality. It was difficult to get it high enough quality to see, but right in the center, it's the blue trail. That's the Jepson Trail. We had a recent scout project that was brought to my attention as a volunteer project And this was presented by, the project was presented by Vinny Moraga, who's the same gentleman who completed the I won't call it restoration, but a very nice paint job on the entrance building at Lagoon Valley Park. So Vinny wanted to do a trail repair project, and we located this area on Jepson Trail that was full of squirrel holes. Ground squirrels had created burrows in the trail, and over the years the water would flow down into those squirrel holes and creating some pretty serious holes right in the middle of the trail. Next slide, please. These are some of the photos that Vinny provided with me of the holes that had eroded in that trail. And his idea was he wanted to repair that. The problem is if you just pack soil, native soil in these holes, you can't get a good enough plug because the water keeps on pooling there and it'll just wash on through. So I contacted the Sacramento Reclamation District and asked how they repair these kinds of holes in their levees. And they said they've been experimenting very successfully with a cementous mix of the native soil with cement, about two sack mix. And so Vinny was game to try this. And next slide, please. And here you can see him working on these holes. I think he patched about just a little under 20 of them, I believe. And it required hauling water and cement and equipment up that trail, and essentially creating a deep plug of this cementous material that fills the hole in a permanent way so that neither squirrels can chew on it nor does water erode the material. And then he packed the top with some native soil so it's completely invisible to the trail users. So we are very grateful for Vinny's hard work up there because it removed those big holes right in the middle of the trail. Next slide, please. I wanted to point out to you, this is the master plan for Magnolia Park as it was approved, 2010, thereabouts. We have the developer of the lands to the east, to the eastern portion, or this would be to the right of what you're looking at there, is willing and interested in building the right portion. This would be the eastern portion of this park as a turnkey project. The portion that's to the west, as you hopefully already know, is one of our most popular parks and is heavily used just about all year long. So we really could use an expansion here to help take some of the pressure off of the western portion. The western portion is about 6 acres. The eastern portion is about 5.5. And then right in the middle, you can see that Vanden Road, which currently carries traffic along its north-south direction there, would be cut off and added to the park. And what will be coming to this commission in the not too distant future is a modification to this master plan, suggesting ways to repurpose the portion that's north of the center gazebo there. I'm not sure if you can see that, kind of the circular spot right in the middle, was originally designed, thank you, Tracy. It was originally intended to be the exiting driveway from the fire station. However, through the design, as the design of the fire station commenced and it is now fully operational, they ended up not needing that area for a driveway. And so that will be added to the park. I think there's enough space there that we can add some sort of longitudinal park amenity, perhaps something like a couple bocce courts or some outdoor ping pong tables or something like that to provide another interest and recreational amenity to the park. Otherwise, most of the rest of the park would be built pretty much along the lines of what this master plan shows. And we're currently in the midst of writing up that agreement for the developer. It's Agape LLC is the name of the developer that owns that property. And they are very interested in proceeding with that, and I hope we can come to an agreement very quickly. It could be a win-win for all parties concerned. Next slide, please. Or was that it? I have one more comment I wanted to make, and that's regarding Lagoon Valley Park. If it isn't up already, you can expect to see very shortly a replacement of those new signs that were, or the signs that were installed in 2019, notifying the public of impending construction within the park. And this is a big deal because it will seriously disrupt the use of the park during certain portions of that construction and for a fairly lengthy part of time. The signs will read that it's a notice of proposed construction in Lagoon Valley Park from June 2021 through June of 2023. So that's basically the next 2 years. We anticipate seeing construction going on there. It should be just to make sure that there are no rumors that the park itself will be developed per se. What this construction will entail is providing sewer and water to the lower Lagoon Valley subdivision that's off of the park property, or to the south of the park property. And what the park will get out of that is a new restroom building located in the Rotary Grove, and also city sewer and city water throughout the length of the park, plus also completely repaved main road through the park. So we're working with all the park users to make sure that we can try to keep the park open for the public as much as possible. And if you have any specific questions about that, the phasing and how we're going to work that, it's a pretty detailed phasing plan. I'd be happy to give more details on that. That's the end of my report for this evening. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner, comments or questions for Hugh Hesterman? Vice Chair Vasquez.
Hi, Hugh. Thank you so much for this presentation. I have not been able to listen to the April 27th council meeting. That was a marathon. So I'm wondering if you could maybe just give a few bullet points as to what was suggested on the parks master plan by council that potentially may be incorporated to the draft currently.
Sure. Yes, and you're right. That was a marathon meeting. There really wasn't, the council did not, while they made quite a few comments, they did not ask that anything specific be changed in the draft. I'd be happy to go through a few of those comments, and I could just give a really quick summary. There was a little bit more discussion on equity and making sure that kids throughout the city have good and equal access to parks and quality parks, not just a park, but quality parks. There was expression of need for more facilities that are like lighted fields and some flagship type of facilities. They were very excited to see the interest, I would say, that the master plan posed for rehabilitating some of our less well maintained and lesser equipped parks. Recognition of the importance of Centennial Park and the opportunity that it affords for filling in a lot of the unmet needs. They mentioned the need for more, they pretty much echoed each other, I would say, and there was very little conflict or dissension amongst the council. They pretty much were in agreement with what each other said, at least from what I understood. Again, that every kid should have access no matter of income. There was expression of lighting areas for nighttime use, including pathways, restrooms, which is an ever popular recreational amenity, if I dare say, use that term for it. That the public still continues to really highly desire the need for that, or they would like to see more of those. And I guess the mention of the Play for All Park and the opportunities it provides for the community. So that I'm just giving you a real quick overview of some of the comments that were made. Is that sufficient, or did you have any other specific questions?
Yeah, no, that's definitely helpful and nice to see that there's a lot of alignment between the commission and council. I know I've recently had a conversation with a council member, and we were talking about power in neighborhood and community parks, and whether or not that could be potentially incorporated into I can't think of what the section was, but where it talks about like just kind of basic amenities of parks. So I don't know if that was suggested during the council meeting, but I know I definitely recently had a conversation about that. I think kind of more of these ideas are going to come to the surface as we do transition to districted council members, folks who want to have events in their respective districts, but then don't have the ability or the amenity of power in that park. So I know that has definitely come up. And then the other thing that I thought, I listened last night to about half of the special council meeting on Measure M, and I believe at some other point this was brought up, but having a scholarship program for folks in need for programs. And so for kids, who are in need and want to play either, the scholarship program would be amazing if it was not just for respective city programs, but also programs within the city, like youth sports. So I think that is something that I had heard recently that I don't think is necessarily built into the parks master plan. But I think hopefully becomes kind of part of the institution and the department, hopefully through Measure M. So, but thank you so much, Hugh. That was a great recap. I really appreciate it.
You're most welcome, and you're absolutely right. Both of those items that you just mentioned were also mentioned. I think they were both mentioned by Councilmember Silva in particular. The question about electrical access in neighborhood parks poses some quandaries, because I'm not sure what the purpose of that is, but if you recall, well, none of you were on the commission at the time, but when we were looking at the master plan for the Magnolia Park, which I just showed you a few minutes ago, we had some very outspoken opposition to the inclusion of electrical access or electrical services there. And the reasoning for that was they were fearful that people would use them to plug in their boom boxes and make a lot of noise. I found that sort of interesting, because battery powered facilities now today are so prevalent that you could make a lot of noise with, your car stereo. So we could certainly entertain more discussion on that. Providing electrical access in parks is not an expensive proposition, but I think there are some pros and cons that we'd want to carefully evaluate before we went too far down that road. I do understand that simply something as simple as recharging your cell phone may be something that people just really would like to see. And so we can have lots of discussion about that. That's what I would consider a fairly minor component. The other thing you mentioned was the scholarship program, and that came up as part of our department's proposal for Measure M monies. And I don't know if our interim director, Hubbard, wants to light on that at all, but that also was well received, I would say, by the council, that concept.
Yes, I'll be covering that under the acting director comments.
Okay, great. Thank you, Reggie.
Sure.
Thank you very much for that explanation, Hugh. Vice Chair Vasquez, any further questions or comments for Hugh Hesterman?
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Leonard.
Thank you, Chair. Great update, Hugh. Thank you. I had the opportunity to walk over to the farmstead and walk on the new path that has been laid down between Hemlock School and the new development, and just the thought that went into that space. Looking at it through your pictures is one thing, but to actually be in that space and see how the old walnut trees were incorporated, and the design of the paths and how they kind of sweep and flow, it really is kind of a lovely space. And the thought that went into preserving the pecan trees on Orchard Avenue and that really wide sidewalk far removes walkers from traffic, and it just has the thought and energy that was put into that space really translated into a lovely space. So kudos to you and the team and all the thought and effort that went into that. One quick question, I notice a lot of the space has bark, and you've incorporated a lot of native plants, which I think is exciting and looks like drought tolerant plants. What is the city standard for weed mitigation in those bark areas? Is it fabric underneath the bark, or what is our plan for weed mitigation in those areas and upkeep?
Yeah, that's a good question. There are several methods that are used. The first one probably is the weed block material that's put down on the ground to try to stop that. And then secondly, everything in those areas are, well, most of it is drip irrigated. So the idea is for the seeds that do get through there, that they not take root. There are times where I imagine spraying will have to be used to keep weeds at bay, but the outcompeting of the native plants do so well in our environment that our number one goal is to get them well established so that they kind of take over those spaces and outcompete the weeds as much as we can. So I'm not sure if that fully answers your question. There are a number.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further commissioner comments, questions for Hesterman? I see no further commissioner comments. Hugh, thank you again for continually making our community better. And also thank you to that young man, Vinny, for restoring the Jepson Trail up at Lagoon Valley. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much, Chair McMahon. I will pass your thanks on to Vinny because I think he deserves it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hugh. Item 11, reports of Recreation Manager Melody Ocampo. You are a busy lady this evening, ma'am. Welcome back.
That seems to be the trend. Thank you. Yes, I've got a couple slides for you. Tracy, if you wouldn't mind pulling those up. Look at that, ready to go. Thank you so much. This is a program you may remember was first brought to our attention by Commissioner Leonard, and she has, we've had staff working with her to get the Solano Outdoor Explorer Quest at Lagoon Valley Park up and running. So we're still kind of in preliminary stages, but we are aiming for a program kickoff of May 25th, so just later this month. Tracy, if you could go to the next slide. So this is a map of the highlighting some code locations. So this is a QR program that drives participants through a nature quest, highlighting areas of Lagoon Valley Parks. The goals of the program are to meet kids and families where they are, embrace the social media and cell phone norms while creating opportunities for youth to engage outdoors. So these 11 QR codes are at various locations linking wildlife and plant species native to the area and that are likely to be seen at Lagoon Valley Park. So each code, when you scan it, links to a 90-second YouTube video and a website with some additional information and really just encourages the park visitor to be on the lookout for these things. Next slide. As you can see, there are some different locations, you earn a sticker by completing those. And we are working on some partnerships and programs, incentives, including some free parking passes for the first 25 participants to complete the quest. I don't know if there's anything else that if Commissioner Leonard would like to add. Those are the updates that I have, and we are really excited about this program.
Nothing, it's a very exciting partnership with Solano County Office of Education and the City of Vacaville, letting us pilot this program at Lagoon Valley Park. We're very excited about the kickoff, and it's one of 3 courses in the county, and this is our first one that we're launching. So we're so appreciative of the support from the Parks and Recreation Department in the City of Vacaville, and we're looking forward to the launch May 25th.
Yes, as are we. I also just wanted to really briefly report that we are fully open for summer camp registration, and we had a very successful recreation expo while it was virtual. We did end up broadcasting on channel 26, and we're able to make that successful. We don't know how many folks viewed from there, but we did get a lot of online registration, and we're able to help folks in person. We did survey our attendees, and it's looking like there is a desire to continue that online registration, and including our annual 10% expo discount in future years. So we'll be working towards making that happen, and providing a more virtual option as well as our in-person expo for future years, whatever that might look like. So to be determined. And that is it for me. Thank you, everyone.
Ellie, thank you so much. Again, thank you for everything you do. It seems like you're everywhere in the city, and you're just do amazing stuff out there, and it's absolutely appreciated. So thank you very much. And also, Commissioner Leonard, thank you very much. It seems like we were just talking about the Outdoor Explorer Quest maybe a month or 2 ago, maybe 3. So fabulous work. It seems like it happened very quick, and we all look forward to being a part of it. So thank you to both of you.
It's been a fun project. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Item number 12, reports of Acting Director Reggie Hubbard.
Thank you, Commission Chair. Just have really one thing to report out on tonight. I'm not sure how many commissioners were able to make it to the special council meeting last night, specifically related to Measure M. But we're really excited because a lot of the Measure M monies are earmarked or proposed to be earmarked for Parks and Recreation. And just a little background, Measure M is a sales tax that was passed, I believe, 3 years ago in the city of Vacaville. And so, that money started coming in a couple years ago, and it was through the community and through their feedback, they really want a lot of this money to go towards Parks and Recreation. And this commission and the council they really have really tailored their discussions, out in the public that will happen, that most of the funds will, a lot of the funds will go towards Park and Recreation programs and facilities. So I stole a few slides from last night's presentation, and I just wanted to share them with you tonight, only the ones really pertaining to, our department. So what they broke it down to is small projects, medium-sized projects, and some of the larger projects. And I wanted to share those tonight with you guys. And so this slide that's on the screen right now is related to some of the smaller projects that are $1 million or less. So with that said, we can go in and do some upgrades to our gymnastics center, replacing the gymnastics floor. We can do some upgrades to the Georgie Duke boxing Georgie Duke's boxing center by getting a new boxing ring and some equipment. And one big thing is getting an ADA accessible 15-passenger minibus for our therapeutic recreation program, as well as our senior program. So those are some of the small ticket items that, when I say small ticket, under $1 million, but they're still big ticket items to us that we may be able to do with Measure M. And so what the city manager did last night was propose some of these items to the city council and get their feedback on how they want to spend some of those monies on some of these smaller projects. The other thing on here is the Sierra Vista modular. And Socorro talked about that earlier. We went after a grant to secure monies to get that modular and to do some improvements at Sierra Vista School, but we didn't feel we were going to be successful in that after talking to the grantor. And so this is kind of a fallback on that. We still have the opportunity to make some improvements at Sierra Vista and to provide that modular for our TGIF program. Next slide, Tracy. So these are some of the larger projects that were recommended last night. Of course, the Nelson Park Master Plan and the Nelson Park improvements, which this commission approved back in January, is on this list. That particular project can be phased in on the mini field side and the concession side. That's one phase, and then on the other side where we have the pickleball course, the lighted pickleball course and the spray feature, that could be phase 2. So although it's a $10 million price tag, that particular project can be phased in. Owl Patch Park, you guys approved that not too long ago as well. That's on the list. 50-meter pool, some monies to renovate or just totally raise Three Oaks Community Center. And I believe the assessment, the Three Oaks Community Center assessment, a feasibility study was brought to the commission long ago. So we'll be looking at that if that's a possibility. Constructing the new gymnasium is also on the list. Centennial Park, of course, that was expressed also at the council meetings when we presented our Park and Rec Master Plan, getting all the amenities out at Centennial Park. And with this particular list, what's going to happen is the council will appoint 3 commissioners and 3 council members to sit on the subcommittee to go through and prioritize some of these items. And so this will come back to the commission time and time again, and you guys will be briefed on where we are with a lot of these projects and which ones will kind of rise to the top or which ones we have funding for. But there will be a committee that will be appointed by the city council, and it will include 3 of the commissioners to have input on this. Next slide, Tracy. They also proposed, with the city manager also proposed a 5-year pilot program. And some of the things that included on this pilot program is some adaptive sensory equipment and installation in some of our neighborhood parks. We keep hearing about individuals wanting some adaptive equipment in our parks, so we're being responsive to that. And so they're earmarked $50,000 a year for the next 5 years to make that happen. Also, some of the commissioners spoke earlier on this about the youth scholarship program. We don't know how it will be rolled out, but there is money earmarked for this youth scholarship program for the next 5 years, and it's $100,000. And I think that could go a long way with scholarshiping kids into our programs, or Commissioner Vasquez said earlier, maybe some other programs as well. But they were responsive to that, and that is something that was recommended last night to the city council. Next slide, Tracy. Some of the quick wins that we can do in the next couple years that was proposed last night, and we tried to spread it out. When I say we, I shouldn't say we because it was more the city manager, and what he proposed to the council was getting some quick wins for each council member in each district. So, but it really helps, of course, us as well because we're Parks and Recreation, but there's money that's going straight directly into the parks. So Caderos Park, Meadowlands Park, Trower Park, Sierra Vista, Alamo Park, Pheasant Country, and they gave money, of course, to Play for All, being responsive to, once again, accessibility. And then lighting 2 ball fields, one at Centennial Park and one at Arlington. So these are more projects that we can do in the next 1 to 2 years, so we can see that Measure M money really take effect and you have something tangible there. And so that was proposed by the city manager to the council as well. And all these things are proposed. I mean, the council can go and adjust things or tweak these things as they see fit, but these were just things that the city manager's thrown out to them as examples of things that we can do. So next slide, Tracy. Was that the last one?
That's the last one.
I'm sorry, that is the last slide. So with that said, I think we're really looking forward to the next steps in this and getting that 3x3 committee. And that way they can kind of delve deeper and get into the weeds on this and see which projects will be, which of the quick wins we'll get, some of the bigger projects we'll get. The city manager also talked about bonding for maybe getting, a bigger project, doing something for maybe $100 million if we can bond some of this money. So, we'll see what happens. But at the same time, I think as we come back to the commission with more information on a regular basis, you'll kind of understand how this process is going to move forward with specifically related to Measure M money. And that's why I look forward to this 3x3 committee being appointed here pretty soon. And that's all I have tonight. And I'll answer any questions related to this.
Thank you very much, sir. Comments or questions for Acting Director Hubbard? Vice Chair Vasquez.
Hi, Acting Director Hubbard. Thank you so much for recapping this information. Like I said, I was able to catch the first half of the council meeting last night, and these proposals from the city manager just literally melted my heart. I'm super excited to see all of this and to see Measure M funds potentially, being allocated. And so I also was very happy to hear about a potentially 3x3 committee. I think that is an awesome idea. I think we have very few and rare opportunities as commissioners, unless we take the initiative to interact with council members. And I think in the past year that I've been on the commission, just trying to take my own initiative and meet and talk with the various council members, email them when I can. So I actually emailed them last night or the day before the Measure M meeting and gave them some thoughts and feedback. And I'm definitely, looking forward to see how the scholarship program rolls out. I think not only just for paying or opportunities to pay for registration fees, but also equipment. Oftentimes, parents or families put children into youth sports, not necessarily always knowing, the equipment needs, and then they're spending, X amount of money on registration fees, and then, an additional couple $100 just on, clothing or cleats or equipment. And so, and you all know, as kids grow, they grow every season. So every season we're buying new clothing and cleats. So I think the scholarship program hopefully is much more encompassing than just like program fees. But I was just really happy to see all of this information. I'm very excited to see Measure M roll out. I do hope, though, that a citizens oversight committee is considered. So I also shot that note to the mayor, vice mayor, and council members. But thank you so much, Reggie. This is exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Further questions or comments for Acting Director Hubbard from the Commission?
Chairman, this is Commissioner Vandertool, and I do have a question for Reggie.
Yes, sir.
Couldn't find where to put my hand up, so sorry for blurting in. So Reggie, a quick question. So I'm looking at the proposed quick win park improvements, and I'm looking at the numbers. They're varying for each park. And I'm curious, were those numbers based on, say, acreage or square footage, and a number was applied to that in order to come up with these sums? So for example, on Caderos Park, District 1 at 700, District 2, 900, and so on. How are those numbers, I'm just like, out of curiosity, how are those numbers determined?
Thank you for the question. Great question, Commissioner Vandertool. I'll have Hugh Hesserman chime in a second because he may want to clarify as well. But what it is, it depends on, it depends on how big the park is and how many amenities that park has. So if a park doesn't have, a shade structure, right? And so that's an expensive item, then we say, well, we're going to get a shade structure in that park. Or, a park doesn't have a swing set or needs additional trees. So it was based on what the park may need. But of course, a larger park is going to be, have more needs. But a park that has very little in it may have a big ticket item like Cordero's Park, may need a basketball court, and, some parks already have basketball courts. So it was based really on need, and I'll let you chime in as well, Hugh.
Yes, well, I think you pretty well covered it there, Director Hubbard. Corderos is a perfect example. The budget for that relatively new park was very, very slim based on the low impact fees that were available. And we definitely wanted to put a basketball court in there, as well as some more trees and park benches and things that you normally would expect to see in a park, but we simply couldn't afford. And so for each one of these parks, there was specific improvements that we had in mind. And then that was what generated the estimate. But those those improvements, we would want to go to the individual neighborhoods and actually have some discussion about what those, what they would like to see. Probably the only exception to that would be this, the Trower Park component, because there's already been so much public interaction and input for that. We had a pretty good idea what the neighbors around Trower already were interested in. So that's our impression of what we think those parks need.
So basically it needs to go through probably a review assessment with the local neighbors in those individual districts with regards to what they would like to see in that park. So there'd be like a menu for them to select from that might be put together by this 3x3 group and come back to the community and say, this is what we envision. Do you agree with this? Or would you like to see some other items that might not be on the list? Is that how this might run? And I may be putting the cart in front of the horse with that question I just asked. So I was just curious because the numbers are quite varying when you look at some of these, and that's what posed my question as to how these numbers were determined. I believe you've covered that initially, and I'm sure as we get into it, there'll be greater detail to share.
Sure, yeah, and I anticipate it won't be the 3x3 committee that actually goes to the neighborhood, but rather I anticipate, I could be wrong, that will be more of a staff task to do that.
Of course. Thank you.
That's just what I anticipate at this point in time.
Okay. Yeah, that's correct, Hugh.
Great. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Vandertulen. Commissioner Leonard.
Thank you, Chair. Hugh or Reggie, do we have a sense at this point, are all of these, the funds that are kind of roughly outlined, intended for new amenities? Or do we have a sense of how much of this budget would be modernization or maintenance and upkeep of existing facilities that may be, 20, 30, 50 years old?
No, good question. Yeah, yes, all of these estimates don't contain new amenities. Some of them are upgrades to, maybe some dilapidated things in some of these parks or something that needs to be replaced. But some are new. Some of these funds are earmarked for new amenities, but some are earmarked also for some upgrades to older amenities.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further questions for Acting Director Hubbard? Reggie, I see no further hands. Sir, thank you so much for all the work you do and keeping this department moving in a positive direction. Your leadership is appreciated. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chair.
Agenda item 13, reports of the commission. Tonight we have the opportunity to appoint, we're looking to appoint 4 different committee appointments this evening. An email went out from staff and I was able to talk to or correspond with each one of almost all the commissioners, I should say. The commissioners did express which committees they would like to serve on. Together with Vice Chair Vasquez, we were able to discuss the appointments, and together we just would like to make the recommendations to the commission, and we will vote on each one of them. So we are currently at 13A, which is appointment of 2 of the Parks and Recreation Commission to serve on the Facility Committee, Facility Naming Committee. Currently, Commissioner Leonard is on there. I would like to appoint Commissioner Vandertulen and Commissioner Vasquez to the Facility Naming Committee. And at this time, I will open it up for commissioner comments. I see no commissioner comments. We will take a roll call vote.
Commissioner Berumen?
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Vandertulen?
Yes.
Vice Chair Vasquez?
Yes.
Chair McMahon?
Yes. Thank you very much. 13B, appointment of 1 member of the Parks and Recreation Commission to serve on the Play for All Committee. I would like to appoint Commissioner Berumen to the Play for All Committee. Commissioner comments questions? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Berrumen,
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez,
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard,
Aye.
Commissioner Vandertulen,
Yes.
Vice Chair Vasquez,
Yes.
Chair McMahon.
Yes. 13C, appointment of 2 members of the Parks and Recreation Commission to serve on the committee to review applications, interview candidates, and recommend new members for the Arts Advisory Committee. And looking at this, I would like to recommend Commissioner Gutierrez for this committee. And at this point, I would ask for an additional volunteer from the commission that would like to serve on this committee. Currently, Vice Chair Vasquez also serves on this committee. Are there any of the other commissioners that would like to serve on this committee? Okay.
Chair, if this is Commissioner Leonard, if no one else would like to serve, I'd be happy to step into that capacity as needed.
Very good. I would like to recommend the appointment for Leonard and Gutierrez for this committee, and we'll open it for commissioner comments.
Chair McMahon, just point of clarification.
Yes.
So is that then 3 of us on that commission, or am I being taken off?
That's a great point. So the agenda does say for 2 members, and you are currently on that. So I will ask Acting Director Hubbard on that. Do we need 3 commissioners on that, sir, or are we just looking to add 1?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, but I'm thinking we were wanting to add 1. Is that correct, Tracy?
Well, so this particular appointment is, so the Arts Advisory has lost some members. So this committee will review the applications, sit on a panel for the interview, and then make a recommendation for the new Arts Advisory Committee members. So this is more like 1 or 2 meetings, but Chair Vasquez or Vice Chair Vasquez, you will still stay on as the liaison. So this is not for the liaison. This is just for a committee to review and interview applications for the new members of the Arts Advisory.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you for that clarification, Tracy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you very much. Is that clear, Vice Chair?
Yes, thank you, Tracy, for the clarification. And then also just another point of clarification, should we be making a motion and second before we vote? Or are we just voting on your appointment?
We are just voting on the appointment.
Okay,
And
so we don't need
I will
a
ask,
motion or a second.
I will go ahead and let's go ahead and get clarification from the city attorney, please.
Hi, this is Andrea Borba, Assistant City Attorney. So we have been operating under the Muni Code rules for the City Council, which essentially says that the mayor makes the appointment with approval of the council. And so under this situation, the chair would make the approval, and then Chair McMahon has been kind enough to open it up for discussion amongst the commission. But, you know, we're doing a roll call vote because of Zoom. But under normal circumstances, he would make an appointment and then there would be a vote, yay or nay. And so a motion is not necessary. And I think it's good that we're opening it up for input and comments. So we don't need a motion in a second on these appointments, just approval from the commission.
Thank you for that clarification. Vice Chair, are you satisfied with that, ma'am?
Yes, thank you so much. Sorry.
No, thank you very much, ma'am. Okay, so once again, we are looking to appoint 2 candidates and recommend new members for the Arts Advisory Committee. And at this point, I would like to recommend appointments for Commissioner Leonard and Gutierrez.
Commission Chair, you have a hand up.
Yes, I see that. Commissioner Gutierrez?
Hello, sorry if this is the wrong time. I just wanted to double check. So this one, like Andrea said, it's an interviewing committee, so it'll just be a couple of meetings, but will that mean I will need to do something to be on an actual committee, do something separately, or, because I know I also expressed interest in being on the Arts Advisory Committee, which I'm totally fine if that's already full, but I just want to make sure and double check if I need to do something separately to be appointed to another committee.
Yeah, so it sounds like, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Tracy, but we are just appointing now for the Arts Advisory Committee, and this is for the interview process. Is that correct, Madam Secretary?
Yes, this is just the interview committee for the new Arts Advisory Committee members.
Yes, and so Commissioner Gutierrez, it sounds like maybe one or two different meetings, interview processes that you will be a part of this committee on. And with that said, I know, excuse me, looking into the future, we will have opportunities for other committees and appointments. You know, I know that comes often throughout the year. So with all that said, I would still like to go ahead, Vice Chair.
I was just going to suggest or and or offer if Commissioner Gutierrez would like to serve on the naming facility. I'm happy to step down from that since I'm already assigned to Arts Advisory. If the commission in a whole is agreeable.
Okay, we can do that. And again, let me just make sure that we can legally do that with the city attorney. Ma'am, can we go back to appointments for 13A on the agenda?
Yes, Chair, you're able to do that. I would just recommend that we do another vote of the commission to approve that change in the appointment.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's do this then. Let's go ahead and please let's complete 13C at this point. So at this point, once again, let's see, Vice Chair Vasquez, did you have a further question, ma'am, or comment?
Oh, no, sorry, I'm gonna lower my hand.
Okay, thank you. So 13C, we are looking to appoint two commission members for the interview of candidates and recommend for new members of the Arts Advisory Committee. At this point, I would like to again recommend and appoint Commissioner Leonard and Gutierrez to that committee. And I will once again ask for commissioner comments on that. Seeing none, we will take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Berumen?
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Vandertulen?
Yes.
Vice Chair Vasquez?
Yes.
Chair McMahon?
Yes. Okay, I would like to readdress 13A. 13A is the appointment of two members of the Parks and Recreation Commission to serve on the Facility Naming Committee. Currently, Commissioner Leonard serves on that committee. Tonight, I would like to appoint Commissioner Vandertulen and Commissioner Gutierrez. Commissioner comments or questions? Roll call. Oh, Commissioner Leonard? Yes, ma'am.
Just for clarification, so there are 3 commissioners on that naming committee? Or 2?
That is correct.
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yes, yes, ma'am. And Tracy, that is correct.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So once again, the recommendation for appointment is Vandertulen and Gutierrez. Commissioner comments? Roll call vote.
Commissioner Berumen?
Aye.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Aye.
Commissioner Leonard?
Aye.
Commissioner Vandertulen?
Yes.
Vice Chair Vasquez?
Yes.
Chair McMahon?
Yes. Okay, I think 13A, B, and C is satisfied. Tracy, would you agree with me on that?
We are good, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. At this point, we are at the reports of the commission. We're at that point of the night where we will open it up for commissioner comments. Commissioner Berumen.
Oh, there you go. Yes, I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Commissioner Gutierrez.
No comments other than I feel like I'm getting the hang of this second meeting in. Thank you everyone for all of your hard work, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We appreciate you being here. Thank you. Commissioner Leonard.
I just want to welcome Commissioner Gutierrez and Commissioner Vandertolen to the commission. I apologize that I missed the last meeting. I did get to watch it, the recording though. So welcome, and we're so pleased to have you on board.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Commissioner Vandertolen.
Well, I would like to echo what Commissioner Gutierrez also said. This is my second meeting, so slowly getting the hang of this. Now I see where the hand is, so I will rightfully put my hand up at the appropriate time, then blurting in. But I was actually excited to see some of the comments or some of the reports that came up for the improvements that are going to occur within the city with regards to parks. I also want to add a comment with regards to art. I have a very good friend who is an artist, and he always reminds me that art matters. So I will leave it at that. And again, as we get to the third meeting, hopefully I'll get the swing of things even more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We're happy you're here, and you're doing a great job. We appreciate it. Vice Chair Vasquez.
Thanks everyone. Another great meeting, lots of great information. Like I mentioned, I was able to attend the end of the April Arts Advisory Committee meeting. And I was actually also able to attend an event on Saturday, April 24th called the BU event, where it was a celebration of folks with different abilities and special needs. For Special Needs Awareness Month, and it was actually very inspirational. It was lots of great folks attended. We had Mayor Rowlett, Jim Frazier, lots of folks were there. I saw Chair McMahon there and other council members in attendance, and also we had the Play for All Park there, and the therapeutic program was also there from Parks and Rec. So it was just nice to see and to feel somewhat normal attending an event. And so just really, really great to be out in the community and start to feel some normalcy and celebrate people in the community. So and with that, I think a year in, I feel a lot better about Zoom in the commission meeting. So new commissioners, you all will get it soon. And yeah, I hope you all have a great May and look forward to seeing you all in June.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair. And I will echo, that was a great event. And I know you were involved in that, Vice Chair, as well as Commissioner Gutierrez. Thank you so much. And it was exciting to see it well attended and just community members out there, you know, in a social distancing crowd, but it was great to see it well attended on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. So thank you for all the hard work. And again, thank you to all of the commissioners for, you know, participating in and serving our community. And once again, thank you to the staff. You guys do amazing work and it's appreciated, and it does not go unnoticed. With that said, we will adjourn tonight's meeting, and we will meet once again at the regular meeting of Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021 at 6 p.m. Good night, Vacaville.